Hello and welcome to this video where I am vlogging all of the Reindeer Readathon, which takes place over the month of December. I decided I'm just going to do one long vlog for the entire month because the first few weeks while I'm working, I really probably won't film much, but I do get the week of Christmas off. So I get that week and then the few days leading up to New Year's. And so during that time, I'll probably film a lot more because I'll be home. And to be honest, a majority of my reading will probably take place during that time. While I'm working, I probably won't be reading as much just because there's a lot going on. I have like Christmas play, concert to get ready for, and obviously all the holiday events and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to having some time off, but I'm going to try to do a little bit of reading up until that point. So I actually already finished one book. This is Salt Magic. If you watch my TBR video, I showed a little bit of it. It is a graphic novel. So here's an example of some of the art. It's a pretty book, pretty simple style. It takes place, I believe, in Oklahoma during World War, was it one or two? World War I. So this little girl's brother comes back from the war. He's super serious, and immediately as soon as he gets back, he decides that he's going to marry his childhood sweetheart. And our main character doesn't really like that. She's more of a free spirit, and she loves when her brother like plays with her and does stuff with her, which he used to do a lot, but now that he's come back, he doesn't so much. And then we find out later, which this is in the synopsis, so not really a spoiler, but we find out that he's actually already been married or been entangled with another woman, and she is a witch and she curses their farm, which obviously isn't great for them. So our main character goes on a quest to kind of find this witch and try to reverse this curse. So it's very whimsical, cute. I don't know, I really liked it. I would recommend it for probably, I don't know, middle grade and up. I think I'm giving it a 4 stars. It was really good, but I think to be a 5 stars, it needs to really wow me. But yeah, it was a nice start to the readathon. It's nice always to finish a book really quickly when the readathon starts. So that said, the next book that I'm reading is actually a book that I'm borrowing from the library, and I'm listening to it as an audiobook. When I put the hold on originally, it said 4 weeks, but it just became available like a week later. So I'm reading Mary Kay Andrews' Bright Lights, Big Christmas. I'm actually pretty far already, and I've only been listening to it for a couple days. So yeah, I'm exactly 50% of the way through at the moment. I am enjoying it, but it is definitely, you know, your classic Hallmark cheesy holiday book. And I will say I typically avoid books like this. It's taken me a little while to get into it and to care about the characters, but I think I'm starting to get to the point where there's a couple characters that I kind of care about, and I'm interested in our main female protagonist. It seems like there's a love interest happening, which is cute. There was something in the synopsis about an elderly man disappearing or an elderly neighbor disappearing, and I think I know who this person is, but they haven't disappeared yet, and we're 50% of the way through the book, so I feel like that's not going to be as big of a plot point as I was hoping it would be. I was kind of hoping this would be like a mystery that happens around Christmas that has a little bit of romance, but it's looking more like it's a lot of romance that maybe has like a very, very small subplot of mystery at some point in the book. I don't really know. So basically we have our main character, Carrie, and she comes up to help with the family Christmas tree farm in New York. Her parents were split, and so her dad and brother have always been living on the Christmas tree farm and taking care of the Christmas tree sales in New York every year. But when the parents divorced, her and her mom stopped doing all of that. And so it sounds like she's like a graphic designer or something, and she's still kind of looking for work. Doesn't really feel like she fits in where she lives in North Carolina. So that's kind of where she's at. But her dad had a heart attack, and so he's not able to help with the Christmas tree farm this year, and so she is going to help her brother. And it's about her going up, helping with the Christmas tree farm, trying to make things better, trying to make money, and she meets this guy who has a kid. He and his wife are divorced. I don't know, it's an interesting book. Right now, 50% of the way through, I would say it's sitting at like a 3 stars. It's not like offensively boring or annoying, like some Christmas books and movies and things can be, but it's not like my favorite thing I've ever read, you know? And not to be like a downer on Hallmark Christmas movies, I find them more tolerable in movies because at least I can like be multitasking, and the movie's only gonna last, I don't know, an hour and a half or something, versus books, you're putting a lot more time into it, and it's usually just tropes that I am not into. So I'm sure maybe there's some good Christmas books out there that I could love, and maybe I just haven't found them. But you know, if I read one a year, maybe I'll eventually stumble across one that I love. Anyway, that is my update. I feel like I've been talking for a while, so I will let you know when I finish that book and start another physical book. Hello. I feel like it's been a little while since I've checked in. Today is December 23rd. It's almost Christmas, but I think I kind of talked about this earlier in this video. I have this week off, but prior to this I've been working and work. It was just crazy. There was a lot of stuff that we needed to get done before we took our break by the end of the year. And so I'm glad that's over. I'm glad I get a break now. But yeah, it was just kind of a lot. And then we also have, through my church, I help direct a children's choir. So I was really busy with that on the weekends, and then like Friendsgiving and White Elephant gift exchange parties and getting together with family and stuff. It's been super busy. So I'm glad I get a little bit of time to relax now. But that said, I did finish Bright Lights Big Christmas. I finished this, I think, like a week ago, and I just never filmed my thoughts. I did enjoy it. I talked about how in the synopsis it says there was like an elderly neighbor that disappears or something. So I was kind of hoping there'd be some sort of like suspense or mystery element to this, and there really wasn't. It was really obvious what was going on the whole time once that happened, and that didn't even happen until like, I don't know, I want to say 70 or 80% of the way through the book. It was really towards the tail end. And I don't know, it was kind of like your cheesy Christmas story. There was a bit of romance. There was the single father trope, which I don't know that I've actually read before, so I didn't know if I would like that or not. And I think it was okay. I think it was done well, I guess. I don't really have anything to compare it to. I think I'm giving this a 3 star. Like, it was good. It was like a fun read, especially to read around Christmas time, but I wouldn't say it was anything to write home about. It wasn't anything super special. I didn't like love it. I will say it was really easy to listen to, and so that was nice. It felt like it was going quickly and it wasn't dragging. So I do appreciate that. And the romance was kind of cute, but I didn't love it. I don't know. It was middle of the road. It was a good book. I could recommend it if you're looking for just a cutesy Christmas book, but it wasn't my vibe necessarily, but that's okay. Not everything needs to be. Okay, so that said, I'm moving on to the next book I'm going to read, which is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I just restarted my Audible membership. I really was trying to get this on Libby, but it's not available. None of the books that I'm going to read this month for the rest of the month are available on Libby as audiobooks, which is unfortunate. So I downloaded Audible because I really wanted an audiobook, because I know during this week I have stuff around the house that I'd really like to get done. I haven't really talked about this on YouTube yet, but I'm starting to announce I am pregnant, and so we're working on getting the nursery together and just kind of like decluttering and cleaning things out, getting rid of stuff that we don't really need to make space for all the baby stuff that we are inevitably getting. And I'd like to work on the nursery and stuff a bit this week, but Audible is running a deal right now where you can get a membership for 99 cents, and it's 99 cents for 3 months. This is not sponsored, but I feel like I can justify an Audible membership when it's $1 versus spending like $15, $16 a month. So I'm gonna have the Audible membership for the next 3 months, but I will probably cancel it once it goes back to full price. But yeah, I'm gonna listen to that. I am right now gonna go take a walk because it's actually kind of like sunny outside. It's cold, but the weather's nice, and when you live in Washington, I feel like you gotta take advantage of it not raining whenever it's not raining. So I'm gonna go for a nice long walk and start listening to this audiobook. It is sci-fi, which isn't usually my favorite, but I've been enjoying some sci-fi recently, like Red Rising and the Murderbot Diaries, so hopefully I'll enjoy this one as well. Okay, I thought I'd come on and give you a little bit of an update. I've been listening to The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet for a few hours now. I'm not actually sure exactly how far I am into it. So far, I feel like it's all just been set up. It's very much getting to know our characters and the job that they're about to perform, and I have a feeling most of the book's going to be about that job or getting to that job. I'm not really sure yet. I did realize this is the first book in a series, and so it does make sense that we're just kind of like really world building and character building at this point. But basically we have our main character named Rosemary, and it seems that she's just out of college and she is joining this ship. And what the ship does is that they create wormholes so that people can jump in space from one place to another quickly. And she's never had a job like this because she's just out of college. She's done, it sounds like a little bit of work. And her job, I can't remember what they call it, but basically she studied like interspecies relationships. So she's supposed to be kind of like the mediator between the crew and other people or other groups. We haven't really seen her do anything yet, but I'm sure it'll happen at some point. And we're getting to know the crew on the ship. We have obviously technicians, pilots, etc. And right now something happened politically. I feel like we don't really know the depth of it right now because we're so new to this world, but something has happened politically and they are taking advantage of that to get a really big job. Where I am at now, they've stopped at a planet and they are stocking up on stuff that they're going to need because they're going to have to fly a very long distance to get from where they are now to where they can perform this job that they've gotten a contract for. So it's an interesting book. It is keeping me engaged, but I feel like at the same time, nothing's really happened. But I do have, a lot of the book left, so I'm sure more action will take place. I don't know if this is even going to be like an action-y book. I am a little bit intrigued because there was a part pretty early on where our main character, Rosemary, talks about a chip or a patch or something. It sounds like they're chipped, and that's like their identification. They scan it whenever they go places or need to spend money, I guess. Very similar to a lot of other sci-fi books or movies that I'm sure people have seen. And she talks about having gotten it upgraded, and it sounds like maybe she changed her name and maybe she's hiding something. So that is keeping me intrigued because I'm curious what's going to happen. And other crew members are asking about her family and stuff like that, and she just kind of evades the questions. So I'm curious to hopefully find out more about her background at some point. The reason I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks is because I've been baking and cooking. It is Christmas Eve today, and I am making cinnamon rolls to take over to my family's house for Christmas morning. And then my husband has to work Christmas Day, unfortunately. So we decided we're gonna do a dinner tonight and open gifts tonight. He does have to work today too, which is also unfortunate, but we figure why not celebrate it a little bit early. I am making a ham, which I don't know if you can see that back there. I am preparing that ham. But I was a little bit worried about getting the ham cooked in time tomorrow because I'm going over to family in the morning and it's like an hour-and-a-half drive and I have no idea how long this ham is going to take to cook. It's 13 pounds. I did a Safeway delivery order and requested a 10-pound ham, which already is big, but they gave me one that was 13 pounds. So we'll see how this goes. I've never cooked a ham before. I don't know what I'm doing, but I make the turkey every year for Thanksgiving, so maybe that qualifies me to make a ham. It seems pretty simple, to be honest, but wish me luck. I'm gonna continue working on that. Right now in the oven, before I put my ham in, I have cinnamon rolls. They're looking pretty good. Let me show you. This is what we've got right now. I don't know how well you can see that, but they're looking pretty nice. I'm excited to eat these. Obviously, I don't normally eat a full one in a sitting. I'll have like half of one because they're pretty big, but I just love making these every year. I really only make them once a year, and so I'm always worried I'm going to do something wrong or they're not going to turn out, but they usually do.
Kizzy cleared her throat and coughed out a few wobbly syllables. Rosemary cringed. Not only had Kizzy spoken nonsense, but without the accompanying gestures, the attempt had come across as a bit rude. But the Harmagian ululated in laughter. "Oh, my dear guest," he said, tendrils quivering. "Forgive me, but that was the worst pronunciation I have ever heard."
Hello, I'm here for a little update. I actually finished 2 books last night, but then I realized like we had our heater on, the dishwasher was running, it was just generally a little loud, and so I didn't want to give the update because I knew that there would be a bunch of background noise. So I waited till today. I haven't really read much today, but that's okay. I will in a little bit. But the first book that I finished was The Ice Queen by Alice Hoffman. I had about 50 pages to finish last night, and I just went ahead and finished it because I've been knitting a lot, and I finished my knitting project and didn't really feel like starting the next one because I wanted to do a small project for the next one. I don't have the right needles. Anyway, it's a whole story, doesn't matter. I finished this book. I still kind of don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. It has kind of fairy tale fantasy-esque vibes a little bit, but it mostly takes place in the real world. So we're following this woman who, I kind of read another Goodreads review and they called her a non-person, which I feel like is a good description. She, as a kid, wished her mom wouldn't come back, and she kind of blames herself for her mom's death. And she doesn't really get close to other people. She doesn't really have friends. She ends up being a caretaker for her grandma, who also dies. You find this out within the first few pages, so it's not really a spoiler. But she ends up moving to Florida with her brother, and she wishes something bad would happen to herself, and it does. And you end up following her after she is struck by lightning. Again, that happens pretty quickly in the book. And she's going to this study where she meets other people that have been struck by lightning, and she's talking to them. She kind of makes a friend. She kind of has like a lover for a bit, but it doesn't seem like she ever gets really that emotionally attached to him. And then some stuff happens with her family, and it gets like really real and kind of sad, probably the last 50 to 100 pages. Granted, this book is only 200 pages, but I just still kind of don't know how I feel about it. If you're looking for a plot-heavy book, I would say don't read it. It's not for you. It kind of is more vibey. It's more focused on our character and I guess kind of her relationships, but her relationships don't seem to have a lot of depth. So it's kind of a weird amalgamation of things. And for that reason, I just don't know how I feel about it. I like slow, vibey books, but I think this one just wasn't vibey in the way that I normally like them. It was set in Florida, which is hot and humid and had to do with lightning strikes. And some of the people that were struck by lightning had like kind of powers, I guess. And it was just kind of a strange book, but like it wasn't bad. Like it was okay. So I'm giving this a 3 stars. And the next book that I finished was The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which I listened to as an audiobook, and I actually really enjoyed this book. This was another one where I feel like it wasn't super plot heavy, but it really focused on getting to know all of the crew, all of the characters in the crew. And I feel like we're really going to take that foundation and maybe do some interesting things with it. Now that we know all of our characters, I'm interested to see what happens with the rest of the series. There are, I think, 4 books in the series, and I went ahead and downloaded the rest of the books on my Kindle because I got a Kindle for Christmas. So I have 3 months free of Kindle Unlimited. So I might try to read these in the next 3 months. We'll see. I'm not sure if I'll keep the subscription once it's expired. But that's beside the point. Like I said, it very heavily focused on our characters and getting to kind of see kind of their background. And because some of these characters are alien creatures, we find out about their culture and some of the things that make them unique. But I think the author did it in a really good way. Instead of just telling us things, they really did show us through different events that happened. So we have this crew, they punch wormholes, and like that's their job. But as they're, you know, moving from this job, they get a bigger job and they are traveling towards that next destination, things happen. And throughout these different random events, or they pass someone's home planet and they're like, hey, we're gonna stop by because it's gonna be a while before we're back. You really get to see the different characters' backgrounds and their histories, and I thought that was really cool. I think it was done really well. It was done in such a way that I wasn't getting bored because I didn't feel like they were just telling me things about the world. That said, in some ways it moved a little bit slowly because we just got to the point where they like got to their big job and they just kind of like did their thing. So the whole book was really our new main character joins the ship, they get a big job, they get to the location where they need to do that, and then they do it. So it is very much this long journey where there's little segments where things happen, but I still enjoyed it. I still thought it was really good. I am gonna give it a 4 stars. I honestly don't know what would have made it a 5-star. But, you know, sometimes a 5-star is just something like you feel, where you really like the way an author writes something. You like the language they use, you like the plot, you like the characters. I think this one was definitely a book where it's setting up for other stuff to happen. And I'm not saying that books that do that can't be 5 stars, but in this case it was a 4-star. But it was good enough that I am going to continue the series and I am looking forward to reading the rest of those books at some point. That said, I do want to do a little bit of reading today because I haven't done any yet and it's 4:30 p.m. I've been out all day at church and I am teaching my siblings to draw and knit and stuff, and then ran some errands. So it's been a busy day, but I think what I want to read is the Tea Dragon Festival because I think I should be able to just read this all in one sitting before Thomas gets home from work because he's working today. So I'm hoping to just read this. At this point, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to read my entire TBR for the Reindeer Readathon, but I still feel like I've done decently. I feel like I've made good progress. I don't even remember, to be honest, the prompts that I'm using these books for. I have them written down in my planner, but I will pop them up somewhere in this video while I'm talking so that you guys can keep track if that's interesting to you. So anyway, I have a little cider that I made. I'm going to drink this and read this book, and hopefully I'll be back soon to give you an update on this. Okay, it hasn't been long, but I have managed to finish this book. Honestly, the art in this is just so pretty. I'll give you a little view of it. I just think it's beautiful. As someone who likes to paint and draw and considers myself a little bit of an artist, I really enjoy reading books like this for that reason, even though like there's not much content as far as like storytelling. It was very cute and wholesome, and I just really enjoyed looking at all the art. It's kind of inspiring me to try to emulate this style a little bit, so I might get open my sketchbook at some point and maybe copy some of these images or use them as inspiration to kind of like create images of my own creatures or whatever. But if you're unfamiliar with this, there is also a card game. I'm not sure if the books came first or the card game came first, but regardless, these are adorable. I haven't played the card game, but I kind of want to now. And this is about a world where there are tea dragons, and basically there's these little tiny creatures. They don't get very big, and they grow the leaves and the flowers of the tea, and so people can care for these pets and take the tea leaves. And when you drink the tea, you can see memories. And so it kind of connects you to the people or the animals in that area. So it's very cute. This is the second book in the series. I think there's 3. And this one has to do with completely different characters than the first book. So they're not connected in any way. So you could read them in any order, but the first book did explain what tea dragons were. So I would still recommend reading the first one. This one is in a mountain town and I think covers different tea dragons. And it's about this girl who wants to cook. She's really good at foraging mushrooms and stuff, which is mainly what her village seems to eat. And she stumbles across one day a dragon just asleep in a hut, and she accidentally wakes him up. It seems like the dragons can have a fully dragon form, but then they can kind of go into a somewhat human form where they're bipedal, I guess. And I'm not really sure, was charged with taking care of his village, but ended up sleeping for 80 years. And so, sorry, my cat's scratching. So anyway, he's awoken and he's really sad that he has missed out on so much life in this village. So then it's about him kind of coming into this village and getting to know the people. And it's a cute and wholesome story. There's also a character who is deaf and speaks sign language. I really like the way it was done. I've never seen sign language shown in a graphic novel or a comic book before. So it was kind of cool to see. Good morning. Today is New Year's Eve. I've got a cup of coffee, decaf, because I'm trying not to drink a lot of caffeine. But I slept decently last night, which honestly, sleeping has been a struggle lately. But I didn't get up till like 8 today, so that was great. I also expect we're going to try to stay up till midnight. So I wanted to make sure I got a little extra sleep last night, and I might even take a nap this afternoon. It sounds like we might go out for dinner with friends, maybe go back to someone's house and hang out until midnight. Not really sure yet, though. All of our friends are pregnant at the moment, so we'll see how long we last. I just wanted to give an update. So yesterday I was working on painting the nursery, trying to get that all ready, and I was listening to the audiobook for The Letter for the King all day. I think I have 4.5 hours left, so I'm hopeful that I can finish it today. But I am enjoying it. I think it's more like a middle grade book, and then I was looking it up online and it looks like maybe there was a Netflix movie or show or something on it. I've never heard of it before, but I was intrigued by it. It's very much giving like King Arthur vibes, I think. We have this character who, I don't even remember the name of all the realms, but he's about to be knighted, and it's the night before he's to be knighted, and they are meant to kind of self-isolate, and I think they have to fast, and they're not allowed to sleep or talk to anybody for 24 hours before the knighting ceremony. So he is sitting, and then this kind of older guy comes. He's knocking on the door, screaming, "Help, help." And eventually he decides, well, as a knight, you're supposed to help people, so I can't just ignore this guy, like, frantically screaming for help. So he goes out of his room, and he talks to this guy, and this guy's like, "Hey, I have this letter. I need you to get it to this knight." And he's like, "Okay. Well, where is he?" So they decide that the knight is close enough by that our main character, Tori, can go deliver this letter and be back where he's supposed to be before the knighting ceremony. But of course, things go wrong, and that doesn't happen. Otherwise, we wouldn't have our long story. And so now we're following this boy as he is trying to get this letter to a king, and he's trying to traverse different realms, and we're slowly learning about the political landscape of the area. It's nothing too terribly complicated. Again, I think because it's meant to be like a middle grade book, I don't think they would make it overly complicated, but it is really interesting to listen to. I feel like I could potentially get a little bit bored if I was physically reading it. It's not something that I would typically pick up, but it did intrigue me, and it is a translation. I don't remember what language. I want to say like Dutch or something, but I'll look it up later. I just don't remember. Anyway, so I am enjoying my time. Right now it's probably going to be at like a 3.5 or a 4 stars, I think. It's like nothing spectacular, but it is enjoyable, and I am really liking our characters. Okay, so in the second book that I've been physically reading is The Silent Patient. I think I've mentioned before that I got this on my Kindle, on Kindle Unlimited, and this was a debut novel, so I decided to read this one for that prompt. It was originally going to be upgraded by Naomi Novik, but my library hold expired before I finished reading it. Changing the angle here because my arm is getting tired. But I'm enjoying The Silent Patient. I think I'm like 20% of the way through. how many pages is that? It says I'm on page 71. So I've gotten decently far, but to be honest, I feel like I'm not going to finish this book for the readathon because I would need to finish it today. And I still have 4.5 hours of The Letter to the King to finish. And I'm going to prioritize that because I think I can finish that faster than I can reading another 80% of this book. And I also need to continue painting the nursery. It's not quite done, so I want to get some progress on it today. My goal is to work on it some today and then finish it tomorrow, hopefully, because everything needs like 2 coats of paint. The closet's kind of a weird shape, and so it's a little bit of a struggle, but it's looking good so far. But anyway, that's my plan. So far, I am enjoying this book. I feel like 20% in, it's still very much setting up what's happening. We're following our main character, Theo, who is a psychiatrist, I think, working in a like mental health facility or a ward. I don't know exactly what it's called, but there was this famous artist who murdered her husband and hasn't talked since, and he kind of seems like he's obsessed with her and kind of wants to like break her and understand why she did what she did. And there was this painting that she did after she killed him, like frantically finished, but he doesn't really understand all of the connections between the painting and her killing him. And my phone just told me my storage was full, but then when I clicked on it, it showed I've only used half my storage, so I'm confused. Anyway, the book is about this artist who killed her husband and then went silent, and the psychiatrist is kind of trying to understand why, and he kind of has an obsession with her. And we're seeing flashbacks of her life, and then also starting to get to know our main character and his wife. It's interesting, but I'm not really sure where we're going with this yet. I think this was marketed as like a thriller, maybe like a psychological thriller. I could be wrong about that. So far, I'm not feeling those vibes. Like, it is interesting, but it's not super fast paced. It's not making me wonder, oh, what's going to happen next, which is typical of a thriller. This seems more like the aftermath of a thriller to me, where you're trying to figure out why the person did what they did. So I'm enjoying it. I guess at this point, I don't know what I would rate it. I'm only 20% in, so we'll see how I feel about the rest of the book. And I might not update on the end of it in this video because I don't know if I'll finish it. Okay, I was wrong. Our main character, Theo, is a psychotherapist, not a psychiatrist. And the woman in this ward seemed to have committed murder, so I'm guessing maybe it's like a prison where they hold people that are like really mentally ill. I don't know. And of course, as soon as I filmed that clip saying like nothing really like super interesting has happened, other than the intrigue of this artist having killed her husband, something just happened. So maybe we're getting to the point where it's going to be a little more exciting. Okay, I'm here to end this video. I did, in fact, finish The Letter to the King, and I did really enjoy it, but I think I'm going to give it a 4 stars. If I had read it back in middle school, maybe even high school, maybe I would have rated it higher. It was a really nice, wholesome book. It's, like I said, about this boy and his journey to give a letter to the king, which is obvious by the title. And along the way, he makes a friend who sticks with him through pretty much everything. And it's just so wholesome to see this type of friendship in a book. I really enjoyed it. I thought the ending was perfect. I think I might have seen that there's a second book online. I don't know if it's a sequel or if it's just by the same author, so I might look into that. If it is a series, I would like to move on with it. I thought it was a really nice book. Like I said, it does definitely give kind of King Arthur-ish vibes, just because it's talking about knights and squires and there's a journey and a quest and all of this stuff, so it does definitely give those vibes. But I do recommend it if you're into that kind of stuff. And I guess that's it. We're about to head out to dinner with some friends shortly, and I'm definitely not going to finish The Silent Patient in the next like hour. So I'm going to end the video here. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!